Hi to whoever is watching this. I'm back with another book review for December. So I'm going to go through all the books that I've read in December and then give a summary, what I liked, what I didn't like, and then a rating of the book. Today we have 8 books to go over. I don't have all of them here with me because I am actually out of town, so I didn't bring obviously any of the books that I've already read just to do this video. So I'm going to just put a picture here of whatever book I'm mentioning, and I'm gonna also mention them in the description box below. I'm gonna try my best to be super quick with each book. I don't want to keep rambling on and on because this video is going to be forever long. I'm going to be looking a lot down or like to the corner because I have my laptop here with all my notes. Okay, so first book is American Heiress by Daisy Goodwin. This is the summary. Traveling abroad with her mother at the turn of the 20th century to seek a titled husband, beautiful, vivacious Cora Cash suddenly finds herself Duchess of Wareham, married to Ivo, the most eligible bachelor in England. Nothing is quite as it seems, however. Ivo is withdrawn and secretive, and the English social scene is full of traps and betrayals. Money, Cora soon learns, cannot buy everything, as she must decide what is truly worth the price in her life and her marriage. I said that weird. And her marriage. Overall, this book was really weird. I did not like it. It was a drag to finish. It's very similar to Downton Abbey, and that's why I picked it up, because there's a Pinterest post that said, oh, if you like Downton Abbey, you should read this book, and this was one of them, and it was on a discounted website for books. So I was like, okay, let's see what's up. No, it was not like Downton Abbey. There's a similar vibe, obviously. It's, you know, the early 20th century. There's the butler and the servants and all of that. So that aspect is very similar, but definitely not on the same level as Downton Abbey. It's just really, I think the main thing that I didn't like is that there was no depth to the plot or the characters. You weren't like rooting for the characters. They didn't have any depth to them, and I think she could have capitalized on a lot of the issues that the characters grew up facing and the hardships that they grew up facing, but she didn't really do that. And yeah, it was just really weird. So yeah, I didn't really enjoy this book. I think I would give it 3 stars, maybe 2.5. The second book is Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez, I think that's how you pronounce her name. Okay, so this is the summary. We have these 2 people, Emma and Justin. They have this curse. They believe they have this curse that whoever they date, when they break up, ends up finding their soulmate. Okay, so they're like a good luck charm kind of thing. So Justin posts this thing on Reddit saying, like, explaining this curse, and then Emma kind of slides in the DMs and says, oh, like, I'm going through the same thing, like, I have this curse thingy. So they're like, okay, we should like meet up and date, and maybe like the curses will cancel each other out, and like, you know, we'll end up finding our soulmates after we break up. So kind of like pretend date. She's a traveling nurse, so she picks Minnesota, where Justin lives, to give this thing a try. It's supposed to be a quick fling, just for the summer, but when Emma's toxic mother shows up and Justin has to assume guardianship of his 3 siblings, they're suddenly navigating a lot more than they expected, including catching real feelings for each other. What if this time fate has actually brought the perfect pair together? So honestly, overall, very, very great book. There's nothing that I didn't really like about it, to be honest. I really liked her style of writing. It's very descriptive. You felt like you were there with the characters. seeing them. It's very rare to see the guy kind of like fall more for the girl. It's usually kind of the opposite or on the same level. I love Justin's character. He's just like this goofy guy that is not trying to be cool. He wears his heart on his sleeve. I love that she's still an empathetic person at the end of the book, and she forgives her mother, and she still loves her, even if, you know, she puts a distance between them because, like, her mother is going through a lot and she needs therapy and she has her own issues. But she's still very empathetic towards her. And I think it's very rare to see that in books. It's usually like once they've been through therapy and had this like enlightenment moment, they're kind of like, I hate her, I don't want to have to do anything with her, and like, you know, it's just very negative. But I love that Abby kind of kept Emma as an empathetic, forgiving person up until the end. Lots of great themes in the book, like male friendships. I also noticed that there's a theme of children picking up the slack, or not the slack, but picking up after their parents. Like Justin assumes guardianship over his 3 siblings because his mom is going to prison. Emma decides to help her mother whenever she needs her because her mother is going through serious mental health issues. And so it's a theme of like the children kind of taking care of the parents or picking up the pieces after their parents, which I thought was very interesting. I also really loved that Emma broke up with Justin so she can go to therapy and work on her PTSD issues that she's been suffering from for years and years. And I thought that was really interesting to see like a sacrificial type of love. It's not like, oh, we're gonna just stay together and figure it out together. No, like sometimes you need that time apart to kind of work on yourselves so you can come together and make the relationship work. And a side note, the discussion questions were really cool. They were a blend of serious and fun questions, which I enjoyed going through. So overall, I would say this book was a 5-star for me. Third book is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Here's the summary. Aging and reclusive Hollywood movie icon Evelyn Hugo is finally ready to tell the truth about her glamorous and scandalous life. But when she chooses unknown magazine reporter Monique Grant for the job, no one is more astounded than Monique herself. Why her? Why now? Summoned to Evelyn's luxurious apartment, Monique listens in fascination as the actress tells her story, from making her way to Los Angeles in the 1950s to her decision to leave show business in the 80s. And of course, the 7 husbands along the way. Evelyn unspools a tale of ruthless ambition, unexpected friendship, and a great forbidden love. Monique begins to feel a very real connection to the legendary star, but as Evelyn's story nears its conclusion, it becomes clear that her life intersects with Monique's own in tragic and irreversible ways. I thought this book was interesting. I don't think it's something that I really would have picked up or read if someone hadn't recommended it to me. I don't know if I would say I enjoyed it. There's a lot of intense themes, sad themes really, kind of like the struggle of making it to the top. And once you make it to the top, you realize that, you know, being rich and having it all is not really that fulfilling. And she also talks about all the ruthless things she had to do to make it to the top. And you kind of wonder, like, is that what you're supposed to do if you want to get to the top? You have to bend the rules and, I don't know, do questionable things to get to the top. I will say, though, the ending was really shocking. The reveal of how Evelyn is related to Monique. I would say this was 3-star book for me. Yeah, I'd say so. 3 stars. Okay, 4th book is The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. As a 3rd-year PhD candidate, Olive Smith doesn't believe in lasting romantic relationships, but her best friend does, and that's what got her into the situation, convincing on that Olive is dating and well on her way to a happily ever after was always going to take more than hand-wavy Jedi mind tricks. Scientists require proof, so like any self-respecting biologist, Olive panics and kisses the first man she sees. That man is none other than Adam Carlson, a young hotshot professor and well-known mean person. There's a swear word that I don't want to say. Which is why Olive is positively floored when Stanford's reigning lab tyrant agrees to keep her charade a secret. Charade? And be her fake boyfriend. But when a big science conference goes haywire, putting Olive's career on the Bunsen burner, Adam surprises her again with his unyielding support. Suddenly, their little experiment feels dangerously close to combustion, and Olive discovers that the only thing more complicated than a hypothesis on love is putting her own heart under the microscope. Overall, really good book. I picked it up because I read Love Theoretically, which I believe is the last book in that series. I read that one first, and I loved it. It was like so good. So I was like, okay, I'll go back and read the first book, especially because it had really good ratings on Goodreads, and it did not disappoint. I liked that it is STEM based or science based. That's very rare to pull off, in my opinion, and I think Ali did a really good job with it. Fake relationship trope, I already mentioned this before, but it's my favorite trope, so I'm happy to read about that. What I didn't like is I found it a little bit repetitive with Love Theoretically, which is the third book, with the whole like struggle in academia, and like you're actually very poor if you're in academia unless you make it to the top, and also with the whole like the guy is better than the girl, or like above the girl in terms of ranking, like the girl is always the struggling one while the guy is the, you know, the professor or whatever, and like he has his life together and he's not poor anymore, he's not a struggling PhD student, or I don't know. The POV was a little bit confusing. It was third person limited, so we were following Olive more so than Adam, and I would have loved to see inside Adam's brain and what he was thinking and stuff. So I feel like if she made it just third person, that would have been cooler, I think. Okay, let me just go on a mini tangent rant here. So Adam in the story, which is the professor, whatever, even in the summary, he's a tyrant, professor, lab tyrant, yeah. And he's like known for being this ruthless professor. He's always giving this like harsh, direct feedback, and like he makes people cry, like his students cry and whatever. Like, okay, that doesn't seem like a good person. But then with Olive, he's like the complete opposite, and he's like this, he's not like lovey-dovey and he's so open, whatever, like he's still this like dark and mysterious person, but he's like more loving, more caring towards her. And I don't know, I really have a hard time with narratives like that or characters like that where like he's mean to everyone else, but to the girl he's like different. And I just don't buy that narrative, and I think it's really toxic, because I think a person should be the same with everyone that he's dealing with or she's dealing with. Like, it's not, oh, I'm only good with my significant other, and like to the rest, screw you, I'm gonna be rude and mean. That's not how it works in real life. I don't think so. But I don't know, maybe it's just he's like that with his students because he just wants the best for them. That's how he justifies it. Like, he wants them to excel, and like we have so many bad scientists and we need to like weed those ones out, and that's why I'm being harsh on my students. But like, he's actually a good friend to the people around him, like in his personal life and his social circle. I don't know, I just found it really hard to like reconcile those two characters, you know, like the lab tyrant, the mean professor, with like this nice fake boyfriend character to Olive. I don't know. Okay, rant is over. My rating for this book would be 4 stars, I would say. So, book number, I think we're on 5. Book 5. The Bride Test by Helen Huang? I don't know how to pronounce her last name, sorry. Okay, summary. Kai Diep has no feelings. Well, he feels irritation when people move his things or contentment when ledgers balance down to the penny, but not big important emotions like grief and love. He thinks he's defective. His family knows better, that his autism means he just processes emotions differently. When he steadfastly avoids relationships, his mother takes matters into her own hands and returns to Vietnam to find him the perfect bride. As a mixed-race girl living in the slums of a city in Vietnam that I'm not going to attempt to pronounce, Esme Tran has always felt out of place. When the opportunity arises to come to America and meet a potential husband, she can't turn it down, thinking this could be the break her family needs. Seducing Kai, however, doesn't go as planned. Esme's lessons in love seem to be working, but only on herself. She's hopelessly smitten with a man who's convinced he can never return her affection. With Esme's time in the United States dwindling, Kai is forced to understand he's been wrong all along, and there's more than one way to love. So this is the second book in the Kiss Quotient series, and I had read the Kiss Quotient, and I absolutely loved that book. Love. And I wanted to read the second one, and she included an excerpt in the first book of the second book, The Bride Test, and I was very intrigued, but I let the ratings and the comments get to me on Goodreads, and that's a huge mistake. I hate reading reviews before I read the book because it really clouds my judgment while I'm reading the book. I shouldn't have done that. Should have just trusted my gut and trusted Helen's writing and picked up the book, because I loved this book. I really did. I love that it's an arranged marriage trope, which is very rare for a 21st century book to have. So I really enjoyed that. They brought back Michael and Stella from the first book, The Kiss Quotient, in this book, which I really liked seeing them again because they were one of my favorite characters. I think most importantly, I loved that it's an immigration story, and you see the main character has an accent, and she's always speaking in Vietnamese to Kai, and you just see the struggles of, being an immigrant and trying to make it, and, sacrificing for your family, and I loved those deep themes there. The only thing that I didn't like in this book is when at the end, again, spoiler alert, at the end when she tells him, oh, I have a daughter, by the way, he kind of accepted it too quickly. I don't know, I feel like if I was in his situation, I'd be like, whoa, what? Why didn't you tell me this earlier? He kind of just turned to her daughter and be like, hi, nice to meet you. Okay, let's move on, with our lives. I don't know. Maybe he's a better person than me, but I would have definitely had 110 questions to ask. Overall, I would say this book was definitely a 5-star for me. Obviously, naturally, I picked up the third book in the series, The Heart Principle, also by Helen Huang. This is the last book in the series. When violinist Anna Sun accidentally achieves career success with a viral YouTube video, she finds herself burned out from her attempts to replicate that moment. And when her longtime boyfriend announces he wants an open relationship before making a final commitment, a hurt and angry Anna decides that if he wants an open relationship, then she does too. Translation, she's going to embark on a string of one-night stands. The more unacceptable the men, the better. That's where tattooed motorcycle riding Quan Diep comes in. Their first attempt at a one-night stand fails, as does their second and their third. Quan accepts Anna on an unconditional level that she herself has just started to understand. However, when tragedy strikes Anna's family, She takes on a role that she is ill-suited for, until the burden of expectations threatens to destroy her. Anna and Kwan have to fight for their chances at love. But to do that, they also have to fight for themselves. So this book definitely felt very different compared to the other two books. It felt more like a memoir, and Helen says that at the end of her book in the author's note, that it is sort of a memoir, and that's why she writes it in the first person compared to the other two books, which weren't written in first person. I think it was third person. I just love Kwan's character. I mean, from book one, I was like, he has to have his own book and his own story, because I just loved his character. He's just someone who loves to take care of people, and he's always there to help other people. He's just one phone call away, literally. I would have, honestly, that's the one thing I didn't like. I would have wanted to see Kwan being taken care of, especially because he went through some medical issues and he had his own like health issues and stuff, and I don't know, I would have loved to see Kwan being taken care of, because he's always taking care of other people. But I understand that that's not really the point of the book. She wanted it to feel like a memoir because she's saying her story rather than focusing on the guy. So I get that. You go into deep issues like the caregiver dilemma, because we see Anna's father having a stroke and then he's really not able to take care of himself anymore. And you go into the caregiver dilemma of, should we get extra help? Should we care for him as a family and, essentially burn out? Or should we just put him in hospice? There are just so many questions and there's no right answer, That was really interesting to read about. I loved that the friendships come from family. So Kwan's best friend is his cousin. And you don't really see that in a lot of books. A lot of books kind of tackle messed up or broken family dynamics, but I love that here in this series we see that the close friends are actually family members. Overall, I would give this book a 4.5 stars. Okay guys, we're almost there. Second last book, the seventh one, is The Lightkeeper by Shenouda. It's my favorite book of the month. In this hauntingly beautiful novel, a nameless lightkeeper, ageless and outside of time, is pulled through time to tend lighthouses on far shores, battling danger, loneliness, uncertainty, and despair. What begins as the burial of a lighthouse keeper on a routine assignment soon transforms into the greatest adventure of her life and a path to a more distant shore. Through this journey, she learns what it means to be human and to love, especially when death is a certainty. So this book is fantasy, fiction, romance, Christian, like it's like a melting pot. But the Christian aspects aren't really in your face. So if you don't really, if you're not Christian and you don't care for Christian fiction, like I would say this book is definitely very appropriate because you really have to dig in for the Christian themes. I just loved the themes in it, what it means to be human, a human being, what it means to have free will and like the consequences of our actions. Running out of time on earth, and what do you do with that time? How do you choose to spend that time? Yeah, it was just really, really cool. Like it's a very unique, interesting book. The only thing that I didn't really like, and this is just me overthinking things, the time travel was a little bit confusing for me. I was like overthinking the logistics of it. But you're not supposed to do that when you're reading fantasy. Yeah, this is just a me problem. So overall, I would say this is definitely a 5 stars for me. It was my favorite book of the month. Last one is When in Rome by Sarah Adams. Amelia Rose, known as Ray Rose to her adoring fans, is burned out from years of maintaining her Princess of Pop image. Inspired by her favorite Audrey Hepburn film, Roman Holiday, she drives off in the middle of the night for a break in Rome, Kentucky, that is. When Noah Walker finds Amelia on his front lawn in her broken down car, he makes it clear he doesn't have the time or patience for celebrity problems. He's too busy running the pie shop his grandmother left him and reminding his nosy but lovable neighbors to mind their own business. Despite his better judgment, he lets her stay in his guest room, but only until her car is fixed. Then she's on her own. Then Noah starts to see a different side of Ray Rose. She's Amelia, kind-hearted and goofy, yet lonely from years in the public eye. He can't help but get close to her. Soon, she'll have to return to her glamorous life on tour. But until then, Noah will show Amelia all the charming small-town experiences she's been missing, and she'll help him open his heart to more. Amelia can't resist falling for the cozy town and her grumpy tour guide, but even Audrey had to leave Rome eventually. Overall, I'd say I liked this book. Like, there was nothing, I don't know, extraordinary about it. There's nothing deep or cool. Like, it was just a quick, light, easy read kind of thing. It's very, very, very similar to Wild Eyes by Elsie Silver. And I talked about that book in the last book review video. It's this like small town romance, you know, celebrity versus normal person trope thingy. I'm honestly okay, tangent vent number 2. I'm so sick of men being described as these models, like having this like perfect chiseled body when they don't work out. Like, this man's a baker. He owns a pie shop. Like, can you tell me how he has abs? Like, make it make sense, okay? Like, that, no. A pie shop owner does not have abs, okay? Like, he has a beer belly. He has a gut, girl. So, no. I'm so sick of men being described as models when they do not do squat. Can the men that we see in our day-to-day life be described? Can we put realistic expectations on men in terms of their looks? We keep talking about how society puts unrealistic pressures on the woman to look a certain way. And it's the same thing with men too in these novels. Like, I want to see an average Joe being represented in these books, okay? Like, someone who looks normal and ordinary. Is that too hard to do, authors? Also, another thing that I'm like, I wasn't buying are small towns really like this, where people are up in your business, they're super nosy, everyone knows each other's businesses. Like, I've never lived in a small town, so I don't know what that is like, but like, I need someone to confirm for me. But yeah, it just seemed really, really kooky to me. Overall, I'd give this a book a 4-star. That is it for my December book reviews. I hope you enjoyed it. You were entertained, at least. And I'll see you next week, hopefully.